Welcome back, everyone. Great day so far. Let's introduce our next company. We have BioLargo Inc. Trades on the OTCQB under the symbol BLGO. It's a clean tech and life sciences innovator and engineering services solution provider. Happy to welcome back President and CEO Dennis Calvert. Nice to see you, Dennis.
Oh, nice to see you, Anna. Glad to be back.
All right. You've got some good updates for us today. Take it away and call me back when you're ready for questions.
Okay, excellent. We do have good updates to give everybody. As everyone knows, we're focused on sustainable innovation to make life better. It's a big calling with special emphasis in air, water, and energy now, new in our portfolio. We are a portfolio-based company. We have multiple technologies all finding their way to the commercial market, heavy engineering, heavy science. And our strategy is really pretty simple: invent it, prove it, and partner. You know, everybody asks, how do you change, how does a little company change the world? You do it with great partners. That's a big part of our thesis. So of course, I want to remind everyone, we're going to talk about some forward-looking statements. Rely on the Q's and the K's for the most information, of course, including robust risk factors. We like to talk about the future, and we're excited about it, of course, but we're always facing unknown challenges to overcome, which is part of the challenge, but it's very exciting. So who are we? Innovators and scientists focus on doing something very important, sustainable for the good of mankind and the environment, driven to make life better with best-in-class solutions. If we didn't think it had a chance to be the number one in a certain segment for change, a change agent, transformative change, we wouldn't be investing. And we believe our portfolio is full of them. We're going to talk about that innovation cycle as well. Heavy engineering, we've got world-class engineering, 30 plus years of experience individually. Now with us about 5 years, we've got the talent to do just about anything we need to do. And we focus on problems that don't have good solutions. It's really important. And I want to say good solutions, better, better. That's sort of the theme. I can always get bogged down on this slide because there's so much here, but I want to publish it so you can reference back to it, of course. But at the parent company, we're kind of like the innovation engine. We've got finance and strategy, of course, and then we've got heavy skilled talent on the engineering side and R&D facility up in Edmonton, Canada, on campus of the University of Alberta. 4 operating units, each finding their way to commercial success, a couple of nice wins and a couple of big wins coming in the portfolio. And of course, everyone knows Poof. We're going to talk about detail. Clearia is negotiating with major partners. The energy is the youngest in the portfolio, has a chance for dramatic impact in the market. We're getting such a welcome reception. We're going to go into a little deeper dive for this talk today. And then the PFAS solution and water treatment, strategic partner with Garrett Callahan, can't emphasize enough. That's that partner strategy, right? Largest privately held water company in North America. We have our first commercial account on PFAS. We announced that just a few weeks ago, and it's underway. And so we'll talk about some detail on that. So here's the real news, right? We're able to confirm that revenue is going to come in north of 100% growth year over year. The fourth quarter is going to be another record for us, which is just awesome. And of course, most of that's attributable to Poof and the record sales and the expansion. And just remind everyone, we think that trend is going to continue and maybe even be greater. We're going to talk about how it could be greater. It could be, right? The things have to fall in place with some timing on these new technology launches and adoption in the market. But we're really looking at a hockey stick growth, as you can see. And so we're a little ahead of the curve. Of course, we are subject to the review of the audit, but we already have good confirmation we'll exceed that number. And then we haven't closed the books yet. So we're a little bit more work to do to really precisely pin that down, but certainly a record, another 100% year over year growth. So very exciting. And then net shareholder equity, really the key metric, building equity through cash flow and building assets, right? Investing activities and also accumulating cash. And we think this number is going to continue to rise. And remember that the benchmark for an uplisting to a NASDAQ type profile is about 5 million net shareholder equity. And so this is an important metric. You watch it carefully because you'll watch us accumulate this through operations and gentle raising of capital. Very careful raising of capital. All right. So how do we do all this? Well, I just can't emphasize enough the team at Poof. Remember, that was formed by Ikigai Marketing Works. They formed a company called Poof. We did a business deal. The deal's real simple. We spent 8 years proving up this technology and finding our way to commercial adoption in the industrial market. and we did the hard work. We always say the hardest work, not all the work, and there's some more hard work, but the hardest work, meaning proving out technology claims, getting the claims and the knowledge base. It's 8 years of accumulation of knowledge. So we have a strong intellectual property portfolio, not just patents, know-how, the know-how that makes this work. So the group came to us and said, we think you got $1 billion product. We said, we do too. They said, we know how to get it there. Let's make a deal. We made a deal. So our partner has launched this product under the brand Poof. They're exceptional. They create brand recognition, massive adoption, and they make a compelling story to help people understand the value proposition. So they naturally would say, man, I want that. I want that. That's the Ikigai Marketing Works and Poof. They're doing a great job. So in the business deal, we're the wholesaler. We mean it's our invention. We innovate it. We partner, right? We prove and partner. So in that business deal, we're the supply chain partner. We help assist with product development and new product developments as we extend the SKUs, the brand block in the retail markets, what you'd say. And so we're expanding that with them as we speak. And then, of course, we supply that on cost plus. We get a little royalty, and then we get 20% of the exit. I can't emphasize enough. People forget the exit. We're building brand value in which we're an equity holder, right? Through our partnership. So Poof's going to be a big brand. I believe it has a chance to go to $1 billion. Now, maybe it goes to $1 billion with a global multinational partner, because the Poof team has indicated their desire to achieve a threshold and then create a liquidity event through a sale, of which we're supportive of. We think that's a great idea. And so we'll receive 20% of the exit. Now, we think that exit should be north of $350 million. It could even be in excess of $700+ million. Big number. And so we expect that to happen. And what does it take to get that done? Well, performance. When you get that product positioned to about $100 million run rate a year, those are the kind of numbers that will be in play. And they're well on their way, and we're going to talk about that. So they had committed, and they have achieved over 20,000 retail stores as of the end of the year under contract. The logistics always are trailing, so it's hard to really pin that down at any given moment because it's always a process. There's a process, but we see it in the numbers, of course. Look at Q4. I mean, just a blowout quarter. And the national brands that are coming on board, the national retail outlets, is the who's who of retail stores. I mean, it's just amazing. They're really good at it, and plus they're creating traffic, of course, direct to consumer through advertising and its infomercials type style of presentation. There's also new products coming. I can't let the cat out of the bag, but they're coming, and we're intimately involved, and those will be extensions of our technology. And we think it's awesome because it's another technical validation, of the things that we've invested for years to develop. Or finding a home. They create pull. Where we were pushing before, we're pulled now. Trying to get adoption. Now we're adopted, and they're pulling us in. It's the best situation. PFAS. We can dig in the weeds, but it just wears you out. But the bottom line is we have a better solution. People have gone out and used early adopters in an effort to move very fast to preserve the safety of their constituents, like drinking water, PFAS. Remember, that's forever chemicals. It's nonstick coatings. It's the fluorine compound that was used to make nonstick coatings, sold for over 50 years, widely considered the contaminant of the century. Market estimates put this in the trillions. Last report, 48% of America's drinking water is expected to have PFAS in it. I mean, it's a crisis, right? Environmental crisis. The regs take place this quarter. There are always a lot of politics going on with that. Early adopters who have drinking water, they move quick. The next is industrial waste stream. There's multiple markets here: groundwater, wastewater, leachate water for landfills, consumer, industrial waste, manufacturing. I mean, and oil and gas. It just goes. There's multiple markets to serve here, including the AFFF firefighting foam market. Multiple markets need the removal of PFAS, and we are expert in this space. Now, our claim, the biggest claim, there's a lot of them. Safer, it's easy to manage, it's going to save you money, works in all kinds of water, is the environmental impact, the environmental footprint of the waste stream, where carbon produces 80,000 pounds. So in that scenario where 80,000 pounds of carbon would be used up to remove PFAS, we have about 2 to 3 pounds. 80,000 versus 2 or 3. I just can't emphasize it enough. And one of the key mantras in environmental remediation is don't trade one problem for another. So when you use a carbon system, you're trading one problem for another. And, removing PFAS for the safety of drinking water, of course, is awesome. And carbon can do that. But the environmental impact is so dramatic, and the cost. So what's the challenge? Well, the market doesn't know. And we got to get the word out, which we're doing. And we've got our first account that we just signed up. Here's the unit itself. This is a portable unit. Many of the units will be fixed site. A fixed site for 1,000 gallons a minute is about a 20 by 25 building, 25 by 30 foot building, and they're fixed sites. These are mobile, so we can go into the field, do small jobs, or demonstrate the technology. And of course, it works. And here you go. Here's the bigger site. That's a 1,000 gallon a minute system. Our first account's in New Jersey. It's a small account. It's about a $500,000 account for us. Okay, so we're clear. And we have purchase orders. We're in process. That means we're building the machines as we speak. It'll take about 6 to 9 months to get that installed into the field. So we're probably late Q2, Q3, early Q4 before we'll actually recognize a lot of that revenue. The key is that it's a manageable account. It's a great first start, right? For the field, we've done about 13 trials, but this is a great start in the marketplace. And we have a pipeline of literally, $30 to $50 million worth of business. Now, we're not ready for all that. So it'll stage in with early adopters. But the point is that you got to get in the field and show scale deployment. And that's what this is doing for us. And we're doing it with a customer, the best of all worlds. Okay. PFAS. PFAS is considered a strategic initiative for the company. Of course, Clearia, can't miss it. Just, the Clearia products are the full circle story for the company. This is over, first conceived 20 years ago, 10 years of investing, about 13 million invested. And this asset is of such a significant value proposition, mostly because it's so high impact for the world, for good, for human health. And it has a chance to disrupt an antimicrobial market, namely because of its broad spectrum efficacy and safety and its biofilm efficacy. So we're negotiating with global partners now. We think we've got a good shot to get something signed and executing in the Q1. If it trails over, it'll be legal for some other reason. But we're well into the negotiation process and the terms and all that. And so now we're into finalizing diligence and preparing for some sort of launch. Very, very exciting and very high impact. This is a very high impact proposition. The energy, we're getting so much attention on the energy technology. And we can go hours on this, okay? Long duration energy storage, long duration. The world needs a better battery. It's that simple. Okay, lithium is just not the answer. So better, safer, longer lasting. No rare earth, no venting, outgassing of vapors. Long lasting, safe, no runaway fire risk. All these things make it unique in the marketplace. And we're focused on what we call long duration. That's big. That's environment. That's grid scale. What do you do with it? Well, it's all these markets: renewable energy, offloading. Balancing the grid, that's electrons transferring back and forth through the grid, EV charging. It'll eventually end up in the house, in the next to your garage. Emergency response, large scale, long lasting. That's what we're talking about. Not light, portable for an EV car. That's not the goal. The goal here is large scale, grid scale, offloading renewable and balancing the grid like this. That's what we're talking about. So that's a battery energy storage system. Okay. Now I'll give you some details on that. And of course, the fire risk. You just take a quick search, go to your internet search and put in lithium fires. And it's astonishing, right? These are highly combustible. And as a result of their need to be cooled, they have a parasitic load. In other words, they use the energy to cool themselves down. They have to cool them constantly, keep them cool. Ours is the opposite, runs at a higher temp. I'll show you that detail. But that's a huge issue. So we go from 0 to 100%, 100% to 0, 0 to 100, 100% to 0. That means full capacity. Lithium is generally 20 to 80. If you tax the battery over 80% of its available loading, you've taxed it and it has a fire risk. And it degrades. That's better. That's a better answer. It degrades what's called dendrites. So efficiency, right? This is the scale of what we're talking about. So 25 kilowatt hours is like the air conditioner inside your house. And a megawatt is about a 20-foot trailer full of cells. And you'd put that next to a hospital or next to a data center, or you'd put it in an office building. You put it where going down's a problem. If the grid has a brownout, you just don't want to be down. That's what these batteries are for. They also have the capability of loading energy from renewable and then supplying it to the grid. So that's a mini power station. That's what we're talking about. Mini power station, big scale. And here's the key. There's a couple of great companies. Of course, there's now dozens of companies competing in this space. One of them's got 1.39 billion in backlog, over $1 billion in backlog. And it took them a while, right, to build out manufacturing and scale and all that. So that's part of the challenge. A lot of companies build it and hope they come. And the build it before they come is a big challenge because the economics to get to scale, it's a chicken and egg dilemma. And so one of the value propositions in our portfolio is that we know how to do that lean and mean scale over time or partner through contract manufacturing. In other words, they come and then we build it. And that's a fundamental to the strategy at BioLargo. Capital, preserve capital carefully. Don't go in and build it and hope they come, because it really bets the farm on the company. And we don't believe we need to. We can do it differently. And then, of course, Tesla has about a 2-year waiting list for this scale of battery. And the other thing we've learned in a relatively short period of time is that if you can access a customer and commit to inventory, and just got to hear this, if you can allocate inventory, they'll buy all you got. They'll buy all you got. And it's a manufacturing test. And so we're not quite there yet, but it's going to get there. It's going to get there at a point where if we don't have the commitments, someone else will take it. And so the demand for batteries I use the word insatiable. It's insatiable. There's also tax credits that are driving adoption, big tax credits, about 40%, 30% under the Inflation Reduction Act, plus this Made in America, 45X. That's the code. It's not 45 times. Just make sure we're clear. That's about 10%. And that's to the manufacturer. High incentives. These are this credits can be monetized. Okay. Understand that. This is like, these are credits that have a market, which means there's about a 40% rebate once you install. It's pretty dramatic. So we built a factory. This is about a 1 megawatt per week production capability. 1 megawatt per week, megawatt hour per week. Okay. We think that'll be ready sometime late Q2. So about 6 months before we can start making that scale of battery. But we're making cells now. So January is in the cell making business. Then we make packs, and then of course we do third-party validation and testing, including UL certification. That's what we're doing. And we brought the money in directly into that venture, that subsidiary, and then our team has surrounded it with all of its assets, and it's now building out batteries. And then here's the claims, very technical. Again, this is available under an 8K also after the event, so you can read the detail. But let me just highlight, it's 2.9 times the energy density of lithium. And it's operating at about 120 to as low as 120, but really optimizes around 160, 180 C. Okay, so when you compare this technology to alternatives, it's certainly higher than lithium, but that's good. So we don't have to cool it, and it's fixed site, and it's not flammable. Okay, no runaway fire risk. And so this is a good thing. And once it's launched, fired up, the recycling can keep it warm in that state of a liquid sodium. We were using the word sodium sulfur, so not to be confused. It does have a sulfur component, but it's got other ingredients. And what we discovered over the last 3 or 4 months in really positioning the product in the market is that the designator as a sodium sulfur doesn't quite do it justice, because there's legacy sodium sulfur technologies, and this is different. And different means better. Okay, so we're still not disclosing all the ingredients yet. We will, but we're waiting as we continue to file and prepare for patent filing. And we've got some secrecy advantage at the moment. We intend to hang on to it. So it's a sodium and sulfur and other ingredient battery, and we call it liquid sodium. It's more descriptive. And of course, these claims are significant. So where are we at in the business? Well, like I said, we're going to take our small cells, make some bigger cells. That's happening as we speak. So that process is starting. Then we need to make packs, and we need to test these with third parties. And then really we're in the take order business relatively quickly. I want to remind everybody, we've done this in about 4 or 5 months. We've turned up a small factory, and that factory can generate somewhere north of 3 million a month. We think that's a pretty conservative estimate. And so we're not quite commercial yet, but we're really close. And then what are we after? Well, we're after long-term projects that can utilize this technology for all the features that it has. And again, just to reiterate for everybody watching, what's unusual about our company is that we have the talent to do this. We can serve as the EPC contractor, engineer, procure, and construct, and long-term management provider for these projects, meaning we can be in the grid scale business not just to manufacture batteries. We can use the technical advantage of our battery to be a long-term player in the concessions that load energy to the grid. That's what it means. And you say, well, how can that be? You say, well, there's a 40% tax credit, and there's a technical advantage that's years ahead of the competition. And there's a 2-year backlog, and the leading contenders that compete head on have 2 years or a billion in backlog. This is a market that has an insatiable demand by design. By design, these tax credits create a tool that allows companies like us with innovation and the talent to come into the marketplace and provide a solution that right now is not being met. Okay, it's an unmet need, especially in long duration energy storage. And the thesis is really pretty simple, and that is, can the grid handle what's going on now? Just ask yourself that question. The answer is no, of course. No way. Not with the expansion of EV and the way that the electrification of the world is designed and occurring. And so what do you need to be a player? Well, you need storage, because you're either going to take renewable, you're going to take any source of energy, you're going to have to store it to expand the capability of the grid to supply the demand that is happening on a real-time basis daily, okay? And storage, the ability to store electrons alongside all of those tools, right? This becomes a tool in the toolkit for all players, regardless of the source of energy. They need batteries. In California, they've made it law. If you put a solar panel up, you have to have a battery, right? So what they did, right, think about that. They looked forward and they said, there's no way we can keep up. So what we're going to do is we're going to force the industry to adopt this technical component in a solar panel, this design, in order to distribute, right, microgrid, distribute the demand and the supply of energy so that we don't sink the grid. Well, we're right in the middle of it, and I think it's extraordinarily exciting. Again, technology and talent make it possible, and then create a business. We have a couple strategic partners that have agreed and are coming on board as we speak to assist in project orientation, developing projects, and also developing selling channels for the battery. And so we don't know for sure, but my goal is the way to say it. We're gonna probably have the first battery sold before we ever make them. We think so. That's not guaranteed, of course. We may need to make some sales and get some packs and testing before we actually get the POs, but it's moving pretty quick. And of course we would certify and agree to perform to spec. So it's not a risky proposition for a customer. Anyway, so there you go. This is a great time for the company. We are steadily marching forward. We think this year. So again, we spoke about the forward looking. Let me make comment on that real quick. The industrial projects, they're slow to develop. They're long cycles, 6, 9, 12 months. Once you even win, you got to get into the field. And so that's building projects. So it's not fast, but it's steady and it's got margin. All of them have margin. And our technology represents innovation that's so unique and valuable that it's a matter of us keeping up with the demand. So we think this year could easily exceed another 100% growth. Poof forecasts about 8% growth per quarter over quarter. That's their standard expectation. They've done it historically. We would expect it to continue. Assuming that does, that's a double. Assuming we land industrial accounts, including our Garrett Callen partnerships, we fully expect to do, that could easily add another 30% to 50% additional. And so the numbers are going to keep going up. And we haven't even talked about batteries yet. And the Clearia, the partnership with Clearia goes, all of those are irrelevant because the numbers are so big. So let's open it up for questions real quick.
Great job, Dennis. Okay, so we have lots of questions for you. First of all, Gina Jenkins says, congratulations on the sales. Once you partner, what do the numbers look like? Is there a royalty in perpetuity, revenue share? Talk a little bit about that. Break it down.
That's a great question. So when we were negotiating with for the Poof product, part and parcel to the terms that everybody, we had terms that were deal breakers, and so did our partner, which is the way partnerships work. Okay. And so one of those in their formula is to have the right to create an exit that is a formal exit. In other words, you're going to sell and you're not going to make manufacture anymore. So that is part of the deal. We would have loved, of course, to not be that way, but it's built into the pricing mechanism. If you're going to exit, that's the nature of the beast. You're going to say, okay, the pet odor control space is yours. Now, this is important because we own all the other platforms, right? So household products, industrial products, sports-related products, nursing homes, general purpose air fragrance and air freshener type products, all of those are ours to continue. We didn't sell those. We sold the license to the pet odor control industry. So when there's an exit, we expect that we would sell that, and we won't be in the pet odor control business anymore once we're out. Okay, so that's that. However, on the go forward, of course, where there's a strength in our position, right, whether it's financing or commercial market or branding, whatever strength we've stacked up in those propositions, we seek to hold on to the long-term revenue stream, of course, absolutely, of course. And so that's a function of the deal. The deal comes with strength. The stronger we are, the stronger we get to hang on to those kind of assets. Just like the market, though, it's going to price it all in. If you're standing down and you're relinquishing management control over the manufacturing, you're priced in for that. That's an extraordinary value. So you get a lot more money. If you're hanging on to it, it's going to do net present value discount to the purchase price. So it's going to get priced in either way. It's a question of the multiple and the value proposition. So our goal as a company is to build a business that will last for another century. I mean, just be clear. We're not in and out. We're not quick flippers, okay? Obviously, we've invested for over 16 years, and we have a portfolio that can feed this company and our customers for another 100 years. So, and think about the energy. You don't stop innovating either. That's the other piece. The energy industry, the battery storage system is a 50-year play, okay? 50 years. I'll be gone. A lot of our team will be gone. So the question is, do we continue innovating? Does it ultimately get rolled up into some sort of acquisition? So we don't know all that future, but what we do know is building fundamental value, right? Fundamental value for our partners, fundamental value for its contribution to the world, and margin that can last decades. And so that's our goal.
Thank you for that. Lloyd Gillum has a few questions. One, what's your status to move to the NASDAQ?
Well, we've always said we want to do that, but we want to do it when it's the least painful possible. And so that's the argument, least painful possible. Of course, we want to create a national liquid market as the company now can move into a market at which institutional traders can be more free to trade to create a bigger market. The OTC is hindered because most fund managers and don't trade in the OTC market. They just, primarily because of liquidity. They need liquidity. And if in OTC, if you go too big, you're going to get trapped in the company, too big in the millions, right? And so think about a fund that has 100 million, wants to allocate 3.5 million to a purchase. They worry about getting out in an OTC market. That's the concept. So 98% of the world's investment community doesn't trade in our stock. So we want to open the market up to that community. That's the goal. The goal is to be tradable in a national broad market. And then that instrument becomes extraordinarily valuable for us. Okay, so when are we going to do that? Well, we like to do it when the demand is so great for us to do that, but the financial implications in terms of our capital needs and where we're at are so nominal. And that's kind of where we're headed. We could be in a spot pretty soon here where we're fully qualified on net shareholder equity. We should see some upticking in the valuation of the underlying stock price. We think it's extraordinarily low considering what we've just talked about. I mean, there's a lot of futures in that. We've got current revenue. We have current execution that puts tangible meat on the bone for people to understand that these innovations are capable of market disruption, transformation. The strategy is a good one. We've demonstrated that through the Poof product. We're going to demonstrate it with Clearia. It's a good strategy. It's not easy. It's extraordinarily difficult, in fact. That's the way to think about it. So, and the same thing's going to happen with battery, and the same thing's going to happen with PFAS. They're all sort of the heavy lift. We're doing the heavy lift. Now we partner. We need good partners. We need good partners, okay? And if we get the right partners, the numbers are exponential. Okay, so when are we going to uplist? We're going to uplist when it's easy. That's what we're going to do. And we'd love to do it sooner. And it's getting easier every day.
Great answer. Thank you for that. A few questions about the AEC. Sure. Lloyd asks again, who is the partner to make the AEC units?
Well, we have a couple of partners that can make them, but we're making them actually. So the way that works is we're manufacturing those out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Now, if you said, well, can you make 100 of them, right? You said, with enough time, the answer is yes. With enough time, the answer is yes. If somebody said, I need 100 in 100 days, no, we're not ready for that. But that's not what's happening. What's going to happen on the AEC is there's going to be a slower adoption. We're going to move from early to mainstream adoption. And that's going to take a couple of installs and some time, which also gives us the freedom to do things like the battery, right? There's time available in our portfolio to manage these assets to an adoption cycle. So right now, and we do have some strategic partners that can scale manufacturing easily on the AEC. So if we have a backlog of 30 projects, certainly we'll bring in those subcontractors and make that product. That's easy. But also, these are assembly of components is the way to think about it. They're an assembly of components. There's a couple of custom components like the mold that holds the seal in the cell, right? That where the waters flow, and that's a custom design. And we don't make those seals. We have third parties manufacture, press them. They give them to us, and we assemble. So manufacturing is an assembly process, which is really kind of common in the water industry because it's all device oriented. And so little pieces are subcontracted out. They come together. We assemble them. We test them. We go through the QA QC, and they go out into the field. And so look, massive orders, yeah, we got to scale up. Okay, small orders, we're good.
With that, can you talk a little bit about the sales? Joe Falk wants to know about the AEC sales and why haven't the partners sold the AEC, AOS mold? Why do some of the partners show little sales? Is his question.
Well, it just takes time. It's a very long cycle. These are capital projects. We always say the low is in the $500,000 range, as like our first one. Some of the projects go as upwards of $7 and $10 million. These decisions are not made overnight, especially with emerging tech. So there's a couple things happening there. One is the regulatory noose is tightening, and the noose is tightening so tight that the old technologies are less and less attractive. That's one. The second is that as a new player, they are looking for scaled deployment. Scaled deployment is required to go for the larger accounts. And we've even had some of the largest in the world say, I can't adopt you until you've done it for someone else first. And so there's this whole process of working with the government, trials, clients, who's going to fund it, how do you get through the chicken and egg moment. So here's the concept for Joe and for everybody else. We've got a customer going through our first scaled deployment. We're getting paid, and we're going to make money. Okay, so be clear. That's unusual. It's a very unusual situation, and it's unique about our company. Why can we do that? Well, of course, we assure performance. But more than that, the technology, when you look at it, is not so complicated that people worry about new molecules and complicated, high pressure, high energy. This is a rather simple design that extracts the charge of the molecule, collects it across a membrane. It's pretty basic. Now, there's a lot of art in its execution, how you do that to scale and with skill and recycling and washing and all that. But the point is that it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And so we've got a backlog of pipeline is a better way to say it. They're not all contracted. We've got a group of customers who want to do it, who say they're going to do it, priced and scoped. And that number is well, as I said before, well over $30 million worth of business. So it's just a matter of time.
Great presentation, Dennis. Great way to start the year as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope that you come back with some more updates.
Yeah, go BioLargo. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.